Hey everybody, this is Scott from Lawrence Hypnotherapy, and welcome to this video, a special bonus treat that I want to give you guys, because I know that perhaps lately you've been asking about well, there's the business steps and you want to be able to make, whether it's six figures in your business, you want to either help people with addiction, insomnia, anxiety, depression, all these different things. And to do that, you've got to be able to see your clients. You need to be able to give them a result. Also, what you need to be able to do is to be able to attract people into your business so that you can basically, keep the lights on, keep the doors open, and all of that kind of stuff. And to do that, we've talked about a lot of the technical things, as it's, basically, how do you advertise? How do you do a Facebook ad? How do you sell? How do you see a client? And all of those things. But also what we find sometimes is that there's an underlying issue that seems to be, there's the surface, there's above and there's below the surface. So above the surface is all of those technical questions, but beneath the surface, sometimes there's some personal growth stuff that really needs to be addressed in order to, whether it's your money that you want to improve, whether it's your relationships that you want to improve, whether it's your health that you want to be able to improve. But there's maybe one thing that would actually improve all three, whether it's your health, which impacts your relationships, or your relationships, which impacts your health and your money, or any of those things. What are the questions? What are the needle movers that are really going to make that difference in your life? And so today I've got the pleasure of interviewing Sophia Rose. And so at age just 23, which is incredibly young to be doing what she's doing right now, which is very inspiring, very incredible, such a genuine person. She's a life and relationship coach that helps women who are stuck, that basically feel that they don't know where they are in their life at the moment, or perhaps they're lacking energy, they're lacking passion, any of those things, to be able to get that passion, to be able to get that courage, fulfillment, to know what they're doing, to know what their purpose is in their life and their relationships. And so, Sophia, how are you? Thank you so much for being here. Can you just tell us a little bit about you and what it is that you do?
Thank you so much for having me, first of all, and for the lovely introduction. So yeah, as you said, my name is Sophia and I am a life coach, and I've been doing it for a few years now. I'm still early in the game, but I have decided to go all in with it. So I sort of burned all my boats and just gone all in with it, and pretty much just done whatever I could to make it work. And it doesn't come challenge free. There's definitely lots of challenges, but I have a really strong reason as for why I'm doing what I'm doing. And for me, that's been a huge way to sort of keep going with it, even with all the challenges that come with running your own business, helping people, and learning these things, because life coaching is this new industry, especially here in Australia anyways. There's not too much support around. It's not that normalized for, a lot of people we're surrounded by. So it's, we're doing a lot of figuring things out. And I think, yeah, having that strong reason as to why you're doing it has really helped me personally.
Yeah, I mean, part of what got my attention is seeing how you've got a complete system that you're doing, that you're running your own business, you're supporting yourself financially from your own coaching practice. And I've seen that you've done whether it's the artwork that you've had to do to get the business out there, running group challenges, where that you show up in a Facebook live video days in a row, adding value to people, coaching them, and then offering them into your program as well. And there's a lot of skills in that need to be developed. And, knowing how to hold a camera, knowing how to speak, knowing how to, put a sentence together, and all these things are really impressive. That I've also seen that you've done, there was a full marathon, the 42 kilometers, I think it is, and the half marathon as well. And also you've been interviewed by one of the staff of Success Resources, the staff of Success Resources. So anyone who doesn't know who they are, that if you know Tony Robbins or any of the big speakers, but Tony Robbins, anytime he shows up anywhere on the planet, Success Resources is the company that basically they shuffle him all around the world. And so that being interviewed by them, so you're in touch with the right people, you're getting coached, and you're basically networking with the right people. And it's really cool to see basically what you've done. What I'm really curious about is say, if there's a story that sort of takes you from past to present, what some of the challenges that have come up putting that together? Let's say if you didn't sort of just on day one say, I'm going to do it, and everything just clicked instantly. What's the challenge that you feel that, that other people might be experiencing right now, which is a past challenge that you had to overcome in order to get to where you are now?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And um, yeah, so I guess a few years ago, I've gone through like numerous big challenges in my life, and they've all played a fundamental role. And at the time, obviously, they seemed like the worst thing in the world, like such a huge challenge and struggle and things like that. And I've some points I thought like, oh God, like my life is over kind of thing. But some of the main ones was when I was 16, I found out that my dad had a gambling addiction, and that really took a turn on my life because I was unaware about it. However, when I did find out, a lot of previous events in my life made a lot of sense about his behaviors and um, our family and things like that. And that was a really dark time because I was a teenager, and basically after finding that out, went through some serious family struggles, because we sort of found out at the rock bottom of it all. And it resulted in my mum, myself, my brother, and sister having to move overseas to move back with my mum's side of the family. Um, and start our whole life again. So we literally all went overseas with a suitcase each and started our life again. And to do that at age 16, when you have all your friends and your life and your little bubble and comfort zone, to leave all of that, watch your mum cry every day and your parents go through a divorce, and it was all out of your control. Like for me, that was a huge life event where everything just crumbled for me. And that took me years to get over. I developed so many fears and so much anger and hurt. It was more the emotions that came up for me, like so angry towards, my dad and um, moving, like being forced to move overseas and all of these things. So I built up a lot of negative emotions. And for me, that really held me back. And I played small, and I was playing like the victim role and blaming people for why I was where I was at, and I took no responsibility. Um, yes, it was not my fault and it wasn't in my control, but it's still my responsibility, is what I've now learned to manage myself and my behaviors and my thoughts and actions and things like that. And I just took no responsibility of that. So I didn't move forward. Well, it felt like that, anyways. For like 4 years, I just lived in pain and struggle. Um, and then I came across Tony Robbins, and I started very slowly reading his books, and just to fast track this story, I then became obsessed with personal development because I realized that there wasn't just this one way. Like, I wasn't supposed to just have this life where I just suffer all the time. I realized that you can actually do things despite your circumstances to have a new life. And I honestly couldn't believe that because I was surrounded by people that weren't showing me that that was a possibility. I just thought, because I've had this event happen to me in my life, this is how my life was going to be. And I settled, and I didn't move forward, and I didn't, go out of my comfort zone at all. And, I had a very difficult 4 years. And being introduced to personal development and Tony Robbins really was the pathway. Like, it was the beginning for me to realize, wow, you can create the life you want to. It's not going to be easy, but it's possible. And that was a huge trigger for me. And then, yeah, after that, I just went through years of personal growth, and I started investing in myself a lot. And um, of course, when you do the work, you realize what struggles, when you go out of your comfort zone, all your fears and doubts come up. And so, one at a time, I've had to sort of go through them and work them out. So, I started by feeling I wasn't good enough, I had to clear that out. I thought, like, yeah, I'll never be successful. Like, um, that we all have all these fears and limitations that try and protect us and stop us from moving forward. So, like, you might think, I'm not confident, I'm not pretty, I'm not smart enough. Like, we always like have these beliefs and these thoughts. And it hasn't been easy, but I suppose what I've really had to do is just tackle them one at a time. And really, I've really had to learn and understand that I have the two voices in my head. There's one that's going to constantly try and bring me down and keep me safe and not allow me to move forward. And then there's the voice that knows I can have the life I deserve and desire. And it's always this battle or this, experience of trying to learn to shut off the one that isn't serve me and then focus on the thoughts and beliefs that will serve me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That like there's the two different voices or the two wolves. The one that survives is the one that you feed.
Yeah, exactly.
What I like about like in your bio, like where it says, as you help people that are stuck, lost, or feel like they're not enough. When you first started your own business, did those three things come up for you, or were they challenges that you had to get through in order to get to do what you're doing now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me personally, I just figured if I want to help people, the best way I can just start and get out there is to help people with something I've been through. So I've been stuck, I've been lost, I've not felt good enough. And so I figured because I've learnt to overcome them through all the courses and coaches and seminars I've attended and things like that, I've slowly learnt to overcome that. And now I do feel good enough and I do have confidence and I am fulfilled and passionate and have clarity in my life. And that doesn't mean at all that everything's perfect and I never have moments of doubting myself or not feeling good enough. Of course those things come up, but for the most part I have the skills to learn to overcome that and things like that. And so I figured if I can overcome that and that was so transformational to my life, then I can help others do the same. So of course, yes, I chose to make my niche or my focus or target audience on something that I'm passionate about and something that, I can relate to, because that way I can really be authentic and be myself when coming across to my target audience. So, I build a relationship with them because I've been where they are. So,
Yeah. So were you always comfortable basically just being on camera and coaching a group live, or did that develop as you did it more, or how did that come about?
yeah, so before coaching, I had a YouTube channel, which took me years to build the confidence to even do that. And I just had it as a hobby. I never got paid to do it or anything like that. It was honestly just a hobby. And I remember still to this day how nervous I was to post the first video. But I had just reached such a threshold of for so long wanting to do it and not doing it that I one day just did it. And then once I did the first video, then I felt confident enough to keep going. And now on my YouTube channel, I have, hundreds and hundreds of videos on there. And you can, if you go back and watch the first one and then you go up, you can see my confidence actually transform because I really committed to that hobby for quite some years. I haven't been that active on there as that's not where my target audience is at the moment. However, I might go back to YouTube. But for a long time, like I committed to doing it consistently, and you can see my journey and how I transform. Actually, it's quite cool to look back on. And so yeah, definitely wasn't always confident. And then, but even when I had been on YouTube for years, to then do my first Instagram story where I was talking, I remember being so nervous. And I remember watching people on Instagram who were doing that. I was like, oh my God, how do they have the confidence to talk to, their followers who they know on social media and do that? I had all these thoughts about, oh my God, what are they going to think, blah, blah, blah. But one day I just did it. And then once you do it once, it just gets easier and easier. And then the same with Facebook. If you go and watch my very first Facebook Live, I am shaking. I'm so nervous, but I knew like I have to get out of my comfort zone and do these steps. Like my audience is on there. I need to connect with them. And so I did that. But yeah, I was definitely nervous to begin with. But yeah, practice makes progress. So I just kept going no matter how messy it felt.
Yeah, and you're really doing great. So there's things that we hear people say in their heads, or the self-talk that they then sometimes say out loud. So like when they're, let's say, like trying to get a client base for themselves, things that I hear people say perhaps like it's like, I'm too old, or I'm not techy enough, or that it could be not pretty or handsome enough, or that my voice isn't right, or that, I can't charge a client for what I do, or whether it's, like I can't get a client a result, or any of those fears, or like, what if people become angry? What if I post, what if I bother my family too much with, that I've posted online and they don't like it, or my friends don't like it, or, I don't want my high school friends to see it, or like, what if, like, say, if I'm posting to my group, or sorry, if I'm posting on my news feed, what if my friends aren't my target market? And all those things that people say, have you found, have those or any of those kinds of words come up for you when you started?
Yeah, so I think just about every single one of those phrases you just said, I've had. I've had all of them. Not the I'm too old one. For me, it was I'm too young. That was the belief that I had in my mind. So I didn't have the confidence to contact people or do this in the beginning because people told me I was too young. Like, why would I pay a 23-year-old to help me? They're the kind of thoughts I had in my mind. So, yeah, I've thought all of those things. Like, what's my family going to think? What's my friends going to think? Like, am I annoying people too much? Like, I don't know how to sell. Like, I've literally had all of those beliefs, and they're still there. I can hear them. They're just a lot smaller in my head now. But yeah, I've had all of them. And the best thing I can say is, again, those thoughts are going to come up. So it's just about normalizing it a little bit and just being kind to yourself and choosing to choose the more empowering thought. Because if you listen to the disempowering ones too much, it can overtake your mind and then you believe it. And that's not what you want. And so that's one thing. And then the other thing, again, like I've said, that really helps is going back to why you're doing it. So of course the thoughts can come up that I'm too young or that my friends will judge me or whatever, but I know why I'm doing it. And if I can just remember that, then that's more powerful than all of those beliefs combined.
Absolutely. As we say, that thoughts are things,
Yeah.
and what you focus on, or where thought goes, energy flows. And it does seem like, whether we can sort of explain it through science or not, and I do prefer to only say things that I can back up or prove, but I do like this one. It's that, like, if you expect something, you're probably going to get it or find a way to make it happen. And yeah, it's been really great sort of seeing in the last, 5 days in your group, you've taken people from one state of being to another state. Can you talk us through that? Like, what happened in the last week in that group?
Yeah, so I have a private Facebook group called Sophia Rose Coaching, and basically I invite my target audience in there. It's mainly women, but there are men like yourself and things like that in the group as well. And basically, that's just a place I add a lot of free value. Like, I just add as much value as possible because I want to help people and I also want to build relationships with people. And I found that that's a really good way to do that, is to build a community where people can have this safe place that they can open up in and participate in. And one of the ways I give value in the group is every now and again I'll do a 5-day free challenge, because I feel it's so easy on social media apps to just keep scrolling. There's always something else exciting, to scroll through. Whereas a challenge is something, you have to make a commitment to, and it's something specific you can show up to every day for those 5 days. And, I'll give away free gifts or, have some sort of incentive to help people feel committed, like give them a reason to show up and a task to do. And I'll really encourage them and support them. And yeah, so I find out where they are at the beginning of the 5 days, and I usually have a theme of something I'll talk about. So my most recent one was all about self love and, filling up your cup and, feeling more love towards yourself and others. And so at the beginning of the challenge, I find out where they are. And then I add value every day and I teach them something. And then I give them a really simple action step to take at the end of that. And then, they have that night to act on that, ready for day 2, and we go like that. And then if you do the steps and they're easy enough and I keep them accountable and I check up on them, you're going to get results. And then because they've committed, I make sure they commit at the beginning. And once they start, they so often feel better afterwards because they're actually implementing all of these things. So yeah, that's something I like to do in the group.
Yeah, that's really awesome because, like, from what I've seen, I loved how you broke it into several categories. So from basically things like knowing what it is that you want and why you're here, to then kind of like having a path forward, but then also like self-care stuff, as in like, the red flags that we should be looking for in our lives, whether it's kind of where are we burning out, or like where are we in a way kind of like sabotaging ourselves, like either through our health or through our relationships, through our attitudes, or however it is that it sort of creeps up, that we can sort of develop a certain amount of success, and then maybe it's another area of our life that can be letting us down, like whether it's kind of like toxins, whether it's emotional, or whether it's literally toxins, kind of like the things that people are putting into their body. And that would be something that I would say that you would take quite seriously, in kind of the marathon stuff, that you wouldn't be drinking kind of like wine for breakfast every day.
Yeah.
Because long term what that would do, versus kind of like, it might seem kind of like a pain relief one night, or kind of a really great social element one night. But if too many days of it stack up in a row, it starts to steal other things from your life, which, and you've got this event coming up actually called, was it the 5 steps to create momentum? And
Yeah.
so could you tell us about like that, what's going to happen? What can people expect? Like, what are the 5 steps about?
Yeah, sure. So I've decided to create a webinar, which is like an online Zoom event that I'm doing on the 29th of October. So that's in a few days. And yeah, it's called the 5 steps to create momentum in your life. And the reason I've decided to create that is because that's something I see a lot of people struggle with. There's definitely a lot of people that have no idea what they want to do in their life, and they lack clarity. But there's also people that know what they want but do not have the motivation or the momentum to sort of do something about it because of fear or whatever's in the way. So I wanted to create something really simple. So it's literally just 5 steps, and I've broken it down into the most simple thing that people can act on. So basically, I'm a very structured and organized person. So I've made sure that this event is, I share a piece of information for the first step, and then I have an action step for that. And I do the same for all 5 steps. And basically, with the 5 steps, you walk away with, 5 bits of information, but that you can actually act on. That's really important to me because for me, like, I love the saying that knowledge is only potential power. It's only powerful if you do something with it. So I don't like people, when you learn something new, like it can be really overwhelming because you just have all of this information. But I've created it so it's so simple. It's like, oh, that makes sense. This is what I have to do to actually implement that step. So yeah, I basically created 5 steps that I have personally used and implement in my life to build that momentum no matter what's going on in your life, or what struggles you're going through. And it's completely free. I just want to add value and build relationships with people. And basically in the event, you'll learn how to take full ownership of your life. I'll teach you how to set goals that actually last using a formula I've created. I would talk a lot about developing belief systems that move you towards your desired life, and also implementing millionaire success habits. And what I mean by that is I really believe we are just an accumulation of habits. It's what we do frequently is who we are. And so our habits are really important. And I'm really big on implementing healthy habits in your life that set you up your day, like for your day. And, once you've created a habit, it's automated and it's easy. And I think a lot of the time, we might struggle in our business or our life or whatever because it feels like we just have so much we need to do and think about. But if you create healthy habits, it feels like everything's just flowing for you. And so I'm really big on how you start your day. So that's something I cover. And then I just talk about also like how to create lasting change, because there's no point in me talking about something or adding value if it's not something that is sustainable. And so I make sure that this is not something you just implement for 24 hours and then you forget about it. It's something you can keep going with. So yeah, that's what the event will be all about.
I love it. And I've seen what you've done over the last week with the people in your group, and what I would expect, guys, like if you can join this, if like say that you're someone like, whether it's in your business and your life, you just need a boost. you need to get focused, and you know that perhaps like maybe it's a courage thing that's holding you back. Maybe that like there's some fear moving forward. Maybe like this year, it's just been a very different year from very other years. And if whether you're already doing really well and you want to maintain it or go further, or whether maybe like you're just starting out and you know that there's kind of like an energy that you've been carrying that it's time to get rid of, or there's an energy in there somewhere that you need to kind of actually let out somehow. What I've seen Sofia do in the last week has created a lot of transformation for a lot of people. And I absolutely recommend that you get onto this webinar and see for yourself, like give yourself this permission to be able to go through the exercises, not just turn up, but really kind of give yourself to these exercises, because you're going to get a lot out of this. We're going to have the link down below so that people can basically, to get to know you, to get onto the webinar. Is there any form of like, would you say like just a closing bit of advice you give to people if they basically just want to become like a more confident person?
Sure. Thank you for all of that, by the way. The most important thing I guess I would say is probably just do it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Because so often, and it actually makes me sad to think about, but so often we just let fear stop us. And we all have this fear, and I have it too. I'm sure Scott has fears about something. Like, we all have that fear. And so for me, it's just like, feel it and do it anyway, because I'm sure if anyone's like, if you're still watching this right now, then I think this is important to you and this means something to you, and therefore I'm sure you have something in your life that you really care about, that and you really want it. And so don't let fear stop you. It's gonna come up. So I think so often, and I felt like this for a long time, that we're not supposed to have the fear, and that we can't do anything until all the fear's gone. But I've found that it doesn't go away. It might get smaller, or it could go away depending on what it is, but it will mainly go away through a lot of inner work, or otherwise just doing it anyway. Once you do it and you push through it, then the fear will disappear. But if you wait for it to go away, you're just going to waste so much time, and you're going to develop all these beliefs, and you just, won't take action. And I know so many people that are watching this have this big goal, or this business, or this desired life they want. And I don't want fear to get in the way for anyone. So I would just recommend just push through, like get a really strong, like powerful why you're doing this, and just do whatever it takes to get there.
Perfect. And Sofia, thank you so much for talking to us. And everybody, thank you so much for watching. Click the button, get onto the webinar, and it's really going to do a lot of good for you. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Cool.